Welcome to the newest November episode of Sports Hour.
All right.
I'm Trevor Howard, your host. Next to me right here we have Sarah Gorton. And Week 8 in the NFL has come and gone. And
Is it really Week 8 already?
I just can't believe that we're already here at Week 8. Pretty much at the halfway point of the season. There are some teams that are overachieving that we didn't think going into the season, some teams that are struggling, and then there are some teams where we just, we already knew we're going to be up in the rankings. One of those teams that we can jump into right away was the Buffalo Bills over the Miami Dolphins, 26-11. It wasn't the prettiest win, but they got it done, and the weather, I was at the game. It was very windy. It was raining here and there, but 3-3 at halftime. Pretty boring first half, but the ending of the game was 26-11. The Bills pulled it out, and they started to pull away with it in the fourth quarter. And they sweep the Dolphins. I read that's their 7th straight victory over the Miami Dolphins, which is an insane stat.
That makes me very happy too, because obviously they're one of our biggest rivals to this day. So just to see them 7 sweeps in a row, that's just makes me happy. Puts a smile on my face. So
that really makes me wonder. 7 games in a row. So that's we're looking at 3.5 seasons maybe?
Yeah.
3.5 seasons. I couldn't even tell you who the Dolphins quarterback was 3.5 years ago. Was it Fitzpatrick? I don't know. Maybe it was.
I don't know. It was either
Tannehill.
or before him.
Maybe it was Tannehill.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. But yeah, it's just been so long since they got a victory against the Bills. But Josh Allen was struggling hard in that first half, missing wide open targets, getting sacked, throwing the ball away, getting grounding penalties. I thought it was a little bit on the wrong side to get a grounding penalty, but the refs were kind of against Buffalo in the first half. But the Dolphins, you got to give credit to them in the first half for sticking around with Tua, who's been struggling a lot lately, to say the very least. But it's always good to see Buffalo on the winning side of things, especially against a division rival like the Dolphins, because they had the chance last year to go win out after that bye week, but then they got that DeAndre Hopkins ridiculous catch, and I think they're still trying to avenge after that game. So they're trying to just pick up any win on their schedule as they possibly can.
Right, and I like your use of avenge there.
Yes.
Thank you for throwing in a Marvel reference just for me, Trevor.
Yeah, no problem, no worries. You know.
Yeah, it definitely was not the prettiest game in the first half, and hopefully it's just coming out of the bye week, you're still just shaking out the dust a little bit, and the loss to the Titans 2 weeks before, but which we'll get to the Titans again this week.
Yeah,
in unfortunately. But it was not the prettiest start, but thankfully they were able to pick it up and come back in the fourth quarter. They're playing well, and Josh was throwing touchdowns and doing his Josh thing. And I just saw a headline earlier today that's Josh Allen's probably number 1 in the running for MVP, and that's my man.
Yeah, there you go. Josh Allen, he's not throwing interceptions. He's not fumbling the ball. He's looking good. He just needs to learn how to slide.
Yeah,
that's my only thing. He's diving head first all the time.
Right.
And, you can't do that if you're an NFL quarterback. You're going to get injured. But yeah, 3-3 at halftime. I think the Bills were just a little unprepared in that first half and missing targets. But then in the second half, Allen's throwing dimes to who was it, Gabe Davis for the first touchdown, and then Stephon Diggs, and I think he ran one in for a touchdown as well.
Yeah, the last one of the game.
So some pretty good stuff from Josh Allen, and I thought that the Bills were going to put over 40 on the Dolphins, but a win's a win, and especially on a day where the rain was picking up, and it was just on and off rain pretty much the whole day, and kickers were missing field goals. But you have to just win any way you can. I think winning by 15 is still a staple win over a division rival, any way you want to look at it. So.
And I was happy that Cole Beasley had he got to touch the ball a lot in this game.
Yeah.
Because he's been, and it's kind of been the Dawson Knox show lately, I feel and which is cool. We love Dawson Knox. Hope you get better quick, please. We want you back. But no, it was just cool to see Beasley kind of get back in there and make some really good plays too.
Beasley for sure was the key guy on third down.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Diggs wasn't getting open. Gabe Davis wasn't getting open. It was obviously the Cole Beasley show. And then he was getting a lot of receptions. I think he had 5 the whole game, and I think 4 were in the second half. He was getting open. The running game wasn't really working. That was kind of a shock for Singletary not to get any separation against the Dolphins defense, but they still came out on the winning end of it. wasn't pretty, but I mean 26-11 is also kind of a weird score, but they still won the game. So
yeah, we were talking about weird scores last week, right?
Yeah.
So another weird one, but
anytime you get like an 11 or like a 12 or an 8 in there, it's definitely a weird score.
Yeah, definitely not. But like you said, they pulled out the win, and that's another. Now the Bills are 5-2, Miami's 1-7, so obviously the record's showing it, and we hopefully have probably we hope an easy schedule of the Bills for the rest of the season. So hopefully we'll end up, that'd be 15-2, right? Because there's 17 games. Yeah, so 15-2 would be really nice.
It's definitely doable because I know they have to play the Jets 2 more times.
They have they have to play the Bucs.
The Bucs, okay, yeah, that's probably like their toughest game because it's Tom Brady against the Bills again. So that's probably going to be their toughest game, but they're already done against the Dolphins. Have they played against the Patriots yet?
No, they play them twice in I think 3 weeks or something later on in the season.
Yeah, that's like for some reason I thought that was kind of weird too. Like it's not really spread out, but with the Dolphins it was. But you're playing the Jets virtually back to back essentially, and then you're also facing against the Patriots in a short amount of time. So it is kind of weird. But Buffalo, I think they should get 13 wins this season because there's always that that game that just has you like shaking your head like, how do we just lose that game? So the Bills haven't really had that yet.
Well, hopefully that was a Titans game.
Maybe, yeah.
Hopefully that was a Titans game. Hopefully you're not in that position again. We'll see, but hopefully that was that game.
It could have been because when we get into the Titans a little bit, they had a key injury on Sunday to one of their best players, and it could be season-long or season-ending. So, yeah, we'll definitely get into that. After this game, as the Steelers in a low-scoring affair, 25 points total combined against the Browns. The Steelers won this game 15-10. I mean, I thought Big Ben was washed, and I think he still is. He's really old, and I think he should have retired like 3 or 4 years ago. But that Steelers defense was shutting down Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, and Baker Mayfield was doing everything that he could to stay in this game. But his receivers just weren't there. Then the Steelers' defense was looking good. So the Steelers won this game 15-10 in a low-scoring game.
Yeah, and we see they obviously weren't the defense for the Steelers. Were not letting Baker didn't throw a single touchdown. There was one rushing touchdown, and that was it. And they were stopping the ball and holding their own in that sense. So it wasn't the most high-scoring game, as you said, but this is another one where you're just getting the job done and working with what you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. It's an AFC North matchup. The Steelers don't really look like contenders, or at least I don't think they do. The Browns are definitely on the outside looking in as far as being a contender. They looked so good last year. I don't know what happened this year because they virtually had the same team as they did last year. I don't know if the playoffs thing, got a little over their head or something, but the Browns just don't look the same as they did last year. And this was a game that Cleveland, if you're a Cleveland fan or a Cleveland player, this is the game that you should have won.
Right.
Because the Steelers are extremely beatable. It's a divisional game that can set a tiebreaker later on in the season. But, 10 points, you're not beating anybody in the NFL if you're only scoring 10 points.
Right.
Unless you're playing in like the 1970s. You're not beating anybody with 10 points.
Right.
Exactly. So
I mean, we've been seeing the throwback jerseys lately. But
yeah,
maybe not the throwback scores, but I mean, you saw him here, so.
I mean, I've been seeing a lot on social media, like maybe Baker Mayfield, instead of making progressive commercials, he can learn how to throw to his receivers. I'm like, he was not the reason why they lost this week. Odell had like 4 drops.
Right.
Jarvis Landry couldn't get open. The tight ends were dropping everything. They didn't have a running game. Their offensive line was garbage. Like, he's the last guy you blame in this game. And I was pulling for Cleveland to win because I just feel so bad for those fans. So I really wanted to see Cleveland beat Pittsburgh, and nobody likes the Steelers anyway. So, yeah, I was definitely pulling for the Browns, but you can't win every game. And I think the Browns are now 4-4 on the season.
Yeah, they're 4-4. Pittsburgh is 4-3.
They're still battling it out in that NFC or the AFC North. That's going to be a good finish between the Ravens, the Bengals, Steelers, and Browns to see who's on top and see who's in second. That's definitely going to be fun to watch.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, low-scoring game for sure. And then we can get into this one. You know what? I'm at the game. I'm at the Bills game, right? And I look on the scoreboard. when they do like the little score updates, and I see the Colts are up 14-0. I'm like, great. Let's see how long they can hold on to it and then choke it, give it away. Let's see how long they can hold on to this lead. Well, we gave it about a quarter, and then before you knew it, the Titans tied it back up. So what happened was they went for it on 4th and goal on their first drive. 14 plays on that drive, I might add. Michael Pittman caught a touchdown. Great, boom, 7-0. First play of the drive for Tennessee. Tannehill drops back, throws an interception, sets up the Colts at the 7. Pittman scores another one. Boom, 14-0, like 6 minutes into the game. And then that's just leaving way too much time for the Titans to go down and score. They tied it up by the time the second quarter rolled around, and it was just back and forth for the rest of the game. And I just need to address the head coach of the Colts. When you have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, arguably one of the best running backs in the league right now, why are you letting your I think, injured Carson Wentz quarterback throw the ball 51 times while you're only running the ball 18 times? I just want to address you, Frank, because you're the one that's calling the plays. I just don't understand what's going on.
It's the question of the season.
Like, Taylor in overtime was wide open in the middle of the field, and Wentz decided to throw it in double coverage and get it intercepted, which led to their game-winning field goal. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just stupid.
Just poor choices being made in this situation. You have a clear weapon that you can rely on and is getting there, getting open, unlike some of the other people who are maybe struggling or the defense is being harder on, and you're not making the smart choices. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And, I mean, it's just, I don't know, Wentz is not like a Peyton Manning or an Andrew Luck. Like, usually if they throw the ball over 40 times, they usually carry the team to victory. If you have to rely on him to win you the game, he's usually going to, well, here's a pun right here. He's going to Carson Wentz, and he's going to throw the game away because that's what he does. He's been doing that his entire career. So he should not, no quarterback in the league should ever be throwing the ball over 50 times in a game, especially when you have a running back like Jonathan Taylor. So Frank Reich, going for the little knockout blow here. Tennessee sweeps you on the season. Boom, knockout punch. It's over.
KO.
Frank's on the floor in a pool of blood. I mean, their season, it has to be over unless the Colts decide to win out. Or, I mean, they got the Bills coming up. They got the Cardinals. They have the Patriots. They have the Bucks. Cardinals on Christmas Day too, so they're gonna ruin that for me as well. I guarantee you. So they virtually have to win out to even have a shot at the wild card. But that's that. I think the AFC South is pretty much in Tennessee's hands.
Yeah.
But they did have a key injury over the weekend, and that was to Derrick Henry. They said he broke his foot, and he's possibly not going to play for the rest of the season. So they went ahead and they signed Adrian Peterson, which was insane. Yeah. I also decided not to throw the hat this week because, you know, Frank already had somebody else throwing something enough this weekend. So I don't want to like hog his spotlight. So I just decided to do the knockout bell. But yeah, 34-31. Colts lose another game in overtime. It's just, it's nothing new. I mean, it's the Bills game. You wrote it right here. Bills game 2.0. Mm-hmm. Same score. Except the Tennessee took it to overtime. So. Yeah. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Sweet, just get swept at home. They actually haven't won at home against Tennessee since 2018.
Wow.
Fun fact. It's
That's
mediocrity.
Good 3 years.
Yep.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know. Maybe you'll have a Christmas miracle. Maybe they'll beat Cardinals.
Maybe they'll maybe they'll win out and they'll shut me up. Maybe. Who knows?
You never know.
But let's just get into a game that really shocked some people here. The Jets and the Bengals.
Yeah.
Mike White, dude, you're insane, man. Like, this was the week of backup quarterbacks, and Mike White in the first quarter went 9 for 9 with 2 touchdowns.
Right. 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but like 37 for 45. Like, Mike White, who are you? We see you, but like, who are you?
Like who in the world is Mike? Did they just pick up this guy off the street or something? But 34-31. Cincinnati destroying Baltimore last week, and now they lose to the Jets. They lose to a backup quarterback. So
like what's going on with that? I don't know. But I mean, Jets, good for you. That's
it
pretty
was
awesome.
kind of a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
But like the Bengals defense had no solution to Mike White at all, letting him almost go perfect in this game through the first half, and he's just slinging the ball down the field.
Yeah.
What if he's like their long-term answer instead of Zach Wilson, and then Wilson demands a trade?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can definitely see like a little bit of beginner's luck here with Mike White for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we'll have to see like what happens with him going forward. But yeah, I don't know. The Bengals, maybe it was just like they let the second string get in their heads and let them walk all over. But interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the Bengals bounce back next week because Joe Burrow has to be frustrated. He's got to be angry about this. So.
I bet.
Yeah, it can't be good to be a Bengals fan right now.
No.
Let's just say that. This was expected, but I'm not sure from Geno Smith. Once again, another backup beating up on another team. The Seahawks beat the Jags 31-7. Like I knew the Seahawks were gonna win, but with Geno Smith putting up over 30 points, I think that's a problem for the Jags defense.
Right.
And Trevor Lawrence, is he gonna be like another? Who's that quarterback that got drafted by the Cardinals? I can't even think of his name. Of course, I can't remember his name right now. But Josh Rosen. Is he going to be another Rosen? Some guy who's praised by the media saying he's going to be the next big thing and then just stinks this whole time. But, like, he's definitely struggling.
Yeah.
He has one win, and that was in London. Jaguars still haven't won a game on American soil in over a year, which is a little ridiculous.
That's sad.
And they only scored one touchdown against the Seahawks, whose defense is definitely beatable. Mm-hmm. And Geno Smith, they had no answers for their backup quarterback. So
yeah, I was glad I picked up Geno for fantasy. After Baker got hurt last week, I'm like, gotta get that Geno Smith. So, and he's been doing well so far. So, not too bad.
Definitely, and Seattle's trying to bounce back in that division too. They lost a bunch of key games, and Russell Wilson won't be back until probably 3 or 4 weeks. So it's good to get a win against definitely a beatable team in the Jaguars and to beat them handily too, 31-7. Then this one kind of shocked me as well. The Patriots over the Chargers, 27-24. Mac Jones beating Justin Herbert. Patriots could be. They could be back. Mac Jones is definitely one of the best quarterback prospects I've seen, even though. We really haven't seen the deep ball from him very much. He's usually throwing the check down and the 15-yard out route passes, but he's definitely conservative with it, but it's working. And I think the Patriots are winning these games because of his leadership and because of how well coached they are too. So 27-24 was a close game, but the Chargers got to be mad after this one though.
Yeah, definitely not anything we've been expecting from the Chargers after, like, they've been doing pretty well this season so far. Like, we've seen a lot of good things from Justin Herbert, but he had 2 interceptions that game, and you just can't have them. You don't want any, but you definitely don't want 2, let alone like 1. So I don't know. It was a shocker of a game, and I don't personally want to see the Patriots coming back here. So we'll see. Hopefully it's just a free game, but yeah.
And the next one, the Rams over the Texans, 38-22. They were up 38-0 in this game, and the Texans tried to make a comeback. It was just a bit short. Nobody was at that stadium. It was just empty. Houston doesn't care about their football anymore, and it's obvious. The Broncos over Washington. Washington is a struggling team.
Yes.
17-10. Broncos finally got their first win since week 3. And Monday Night Football, probably the most boring game as far as, if you're a football fan.
Right.
And if you don't like the refs, this game wasn't fun to watch either because every play was a flag.
Welcome to Flag Central, as I say. My goodness. Like, I tuned into the game for like a couple minutes just because, and it was just flag after flag. It was ridiculous.
KC won 20-17. They should feel like real champions, even though they're really, really struggling right now.
Yeah.
But, that's pretty much the AFC as far as Week 8 goes. Don't go away because Sarah's going to be right here to recap the NFC, so stay tuned.
We're ready for you.
Pneumococcal. If you're 65 or older, like me, you're at greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia, even if you're healthy. People 65 plus are over 10 times more likely to land in the hospital for pneumococcal pneumonia than those 18 to 49. And it's important we all do what we can to stay healthy. So, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination.
Hope. Where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home, father, mother, sister, brother, son, daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
16 is such a significant age. I promise to help protect my eldest daughter during this exciting time in her life. Teens are at an increased risk for meningococcal disease, a rare, potentially deadly bacterial infection. But half haven't received the CDC-recommended second dose of the MenACWY vaccine at 16. I want to help change that. Take your shot against meningitis. Talk to your teen's doctor about the MenACWY vaccine and ask about MenB. Visit the16vaccine.org.
Welcome back to Sports Hour. We're going to be covering the NFC side of things. And I think the highlight of the NFC from this weekend was the Thursday night game. And usually the Thursday night game really is not that good and not a lot of people tune into it. But it was, at the time, the 6-1 Packers going up against the 7-0 Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. I thought this should have been like flex for a Sunday night game because this is, I mean, a combined record of 13-1 going into this. Why is this a Thursday night game? I don't know. But the Packers came on top of this one 24-21. And Kyler Murray was this close from going 8-0. AJ Green just needed to turn around. And the Cardinals pretty much win that game. But there's no more undefeated teams in the NFL in 2021 anymore. And Aaron Rodgers still hasn't lost a game since week 1.
Yeah. We love Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is just, we talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT, but like Aaron Rodgers is also a GOAT himself. He's in his own right. But like, I'm just like happy to see I really like Green Bay as a team. I think they've really got a lot going on there, a lot of good things, and it's good to see after all the chaos that happened in the offseason. So I just like the team as a whole. Everyone's playing pretty well right now. Obviously 7-1. They beat the undefeated team. That's always a nice notch in your belt. So yeah, it's just good. It's just good football.
It's great that they're still doing this, like despite after all these NFC Championship game losses and bringing back like a 37-year-old quarterback and then bringing back Randall Cobb. Like, you're pretty much just getting older at this point.
Right.
And they beat the only undefeated team, and they haven't lost a game since that week 1 blowout against New Orleans. Like, what they're doing here is insane. And if there was a team to do it, it would either be a team led by Brady or a team led by Aaron Rodgers. Right. That's all I got to say because, I mean, they seem like ageless wonders right now. When you saw Peyton Manning at this age, he was overthrowing receivers and he just didn't look the same. That's very different with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And I mean, you saw a little bit of struggle with Drew Brees, especially in that playoff game last year against the Bucs. But it's these rare quarterback breeds like Brady and Rodgers that are able to lead their team to do this, do these kinds of things. And to win in a close game, 24-21 on the road, and have a big defensive stop in the end zone, interception at the goal line, like something about that stadium too with interceptions at the goal line. I think that was the same stadium where Russell Wilson threw it at the goal line in the Super Bowl. So something about that building, about that city, but no more undefeated teams. We don't have to hear that undefeated talk anymore going into the postseason. And this might be a really, really bad loss for the Cardinals, but they shouldn't hang their head down low. I mean, they would have won the game if their wide receiver would have just turned around and caught the ball. He had a step on him too, and he just didn't turn around for it. Bounced off his shoulder and landed in the defender's hands. So easy interception, but what can you really do in that situation? Arizona's still a really good team, but the Rams are also catching them. Who knows what's going to happen with the Seahawks, and who knows what's going to happen with the 49ers. But I think the battle between the Cardinals and the Rams is going to go down to the wire towards the end of the season, and it's going to be a great thing to watch too.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that was the best game of the week as far as the NFC goes. Should have been flexed for Sunday night, but you know what? It's still a primetime game. The Panthers and the Falcons, like, what? This was weird. Sam Darnold left the game with an injury, and they still won. Like, he was struggling too. And they also haven't won a game since week 4, I think. And they beat Atlanta, a team that they really should beat, a team that's in their division, that struggles. And I think both teams are struggling, but you see these weird scores, like the under 20 scores, like the Steelers and the Browns. And then you see the Panthers and the Falcons, like 2 teams that are struggling. I don't really know what to think about this game. I don't want to say the Panthers are back because I know they're not.
Right.
And Atlanta, what happened with Calvin Ridley too? I guess he's stepping away from the game to for mental health reasons or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he retired during the game or if he's just done for the season. Nobody really knows what's going on with him. But if you're the Panthers and a Falcons fan, like, despite the win by Carolina, you're not feeling good about your team, really.
Yeah, you're definitely concerned as to what's happening because they're not even putting up that many yards to begin with. To be honest, you're kind of scraping by at this point. Like you said, below 20 points is not usually how you would win a football game. So if you're one of those fans, you're just kind of concerned and just kind of along for the ride, I guess. Just hoping that you can get by with these wins, these low-scoring wins.
Right, and a score like this, you normally think, oh, the defense must have been playing great.
Right.
Not really. Offenses were just struggling so much after watching the highlights of this game. And then on top of that, Darnold gets hurt, someone who's been struggling. So the last thing he needs on his plate is to rehab an injury. And, it's a win for Carolina, but it almost feels like a loss, too, because they lost their quarterback. And who knows how long he's going to be out for. But I don't really know what to say about this game. It's just
not much more to say.
pretty
honestly.
boring. If you're watching this on TV, it was probably one of those 1 o'clock Fox games that only a certain part of the U.S. gets.
Right.
Probably only one state got access to that game. So yeah, 19-13 was the final score from that one. The 49ers finally get back in the winning column as they beat Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears 33-22. And it's great to see the 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo get back there and win the game, despite a great 22-yard touchdown scramble from Justin Fields, pretty much juking out the entire defense. That was probably the highlight of the day for the Bears. But when you have a rookie quarterback, they're definitely going to struggle. And I think the best way to learn from your mistakes is by losing football games. It sounds kind of weird, but they also are going to, probably try to lose as many games as possible to get a good draft, get a good spot in the draft for their draft position. And I mean, you have to learn the hard way to lose, and I think that pretty much gets you back in the winning column eventually if you are a good quarterback. And I think he does have potential for sure, but the 49ers, I think, are just a more complete team, and they didn't have to play in a bomb cyclone this week, so all their points came this week, and they scored 33. Usually if you score 30-plus, you should be able to win that game, but the Bears were staying with them pretty much the whole time. They weren't really winning, but they were sticking with them the whole time, and that's kind of a veteran move by Justin Fields. I think he has a lot of promise in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like going back to what you said before. It's just at this point you gotta have, like a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, just gotta have some patience, not with themselves, with the whole process as they're trying to adjust to this, and you hope that their coaches and the whole rest of the team, especially the management, are gonna have some patience with you as well as you're trying to get into this crazy NFL world from college. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of potential there, I think.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to address the running game.
Yeah.
They also need to address their wide receivers because Justin Fields, let's just be honest, has nobody to throw it to. He doesn't have a running game. His offensive line is pretty weak. His defense is pretty weak outside of a couple linebackers. But the Bears just aren't there yet. They have their franchise quarterback, or so they think they have their franchise quarterback. They just need to build a team around him, and that may take a couple years or a few years. You may have to go through some losing seasons here and there to get some good draft positions, but I think they are in a decent spot, and they should have some success in the next few years. But the 49ers took care of all their mistakes, and they capitalized on every single mistake. They won this game 33-22. And who would have saw this? Who would have thought Philadelphia, with Nick Sirianni as the head coach and Jalen Hurts as their number one quarterback, dominate the Detroit Lions 44-6. We keep talking about the Lions on the show, and it's just a broken record at this point, but you have to look at the Eagles and say, wow, like, good teams are supposed to blow out the really, really bad teams, and the Eagles looked like a great team last Sunday, beating them 44-6. That was like probably the most complete that I've ever seen the Eagles in the last couple years.
I know. I mean, look at their defense also was just obviously holding up against the Lions. I was dumb. I didn't put in the Eagles for my fantasy. I put that in there. Yeah, you saw that. For some reason, I was about to put the Eagles defense in for fantasy, but then I switched it out and regretting that.
Rookie mistake
for me. So what they just as a whole core unit really had it going for this game. Like the offense and defense were both playing really well, and they just held Detroit to nothing really.
Yeah,
when it came down to it.
And plus, lesson learned: if you're gonna start your fantasy defense and you see that they're facing against Detroit, just start them because most likely you're gonna win.
Yeah.
So I mean, 44-6 is absolute domination. Like turnovers were happening all the time. Jared Goff looks terrible.
Yeah.
The Lions look bad. They still haven't won a game. There's no more undefeated teams, but there's still a winless team in the NFL. So
right. It took the Lions to the fourth quarter to just score 2 field goals. The whole rest of the game they didn't score a single thing until the fourth quarter, and it wasn't even a touchdown. Unfortunately for them, it was 2 field goals, which, obviously the field goals are always helpful, but not going to win you football games, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you're down 44-0, you might as well just. I don't understand kicking the field goal there. You might as well just go for the end zone because.
Right.
I mean, you're going to get booed off the field, whether this happens at home or your visiting fans are traveling to see you play at another stadium. Like, if you're down by 40 plus, like, just go for the touchdown. The worst thing that could happen is that they just run up the score. I don't understand the philosophy of kicking a field goal down by 43 points.
Yeah, I don't either.
It just makes no sense to me. But, yep, that's what the Lions do. Detroit's going to Detroit sometimes.
Yeah, we'll see if they get a win this season.
Never thought the Eagles would be on the winning end of a 44-6 game, but that's pretty crazy.
That's the NFL for you.
And this one was great. The New Orleans Saints, without Jameis Winston for an entire half, by the way, who's out for the season with a torn ACL, which really stinks for him, who was looking good pretty much this whole season. They beat Tom Brady and the Bucs 36-27, and the game ended on a game-losing pick 6 thrown by Tom Brady.
Oh, the best thing ever.
And now some news coming out of the Saints, too. Like, you see Jameis Winston goes down, and the backup did a good job. I think it was Simeon, pretty sure, came in and filled in for him, and he looked good. But normally Trevor Simeon's not that good of a quarterback. So I heard that they've been making calls down to Alabama to recruit Phillip Rivers to come to the New Orleans Saints, which would definitely be awesome because the NFL is just not the same without Phillip Rivers. So it will be very interesting to see him play for the Saints after calling retirement because I think his high school football season, he's a head coach of a high school team in Alabama. I think they're pretty much over. They're pretty much done now, and now he's on his couch.
Right.
So if they're gonna make a postseason run, why not just bring him in to the NFC and see what happens?
Right. I know you like Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
So
I do like Phillip Rivers, dadgummit. So
yeah, that'd be really exciting to see.
The NFL is just not the same without him. It's not the same without Peyton. It's not the same without Andrew.
No.
So to have just like one of those guys back, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Trevor would be very happy. NFL, if you're listening, Saints, make this guy happy.
Yeah, or I can bring Rivers to Indy and I can trade Carson Wentz to the Saints in exchange for a stick of gum or something like that. That could work.
That could work.
Or and then not so fast because I can also give you Frank Reich on a free deal to a free add-on to that as well. And then I can take Sean Payton to Indianapolis, which would be a good deal.
There you go.
But
that's it.
Hey, you never know. Phillip Rivers, can he come back? I'm going to say he does because I think he misses the game, and now that his season of coaching his guys is pretty much over, and all he can do is watch it on TV, like I think he's going to miss it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to want to come back. Even if he's playing for 4 weeks or something and he has to live outside of a hotel in New Orleans or something, like I think he would do it.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I second you on there, and I hope it does happen.
definitely a big win for them over the Bucks too, as far as the standings go.
absolutely.
They both play in the NFC South, and the Saints definitely want to make a playoff push here. And the Cowboys, with Cooper Rush as their quarterback, as Dak Prescott went down with an injury, beat the struggling, and I mean struggling Minnesota Vikings 20-16. And we saw Cooper Rush throw a touchdown pass to Amari Cooper, and so we got that little Cooper connection.
Yes, we love that.
And Al Michaels, I mean, loves this kid. Cooper Rush, all the memes came out too about Cooper, but I mean, he's probably their best backup they've had in a long time.
Yeah.
They've had a lot of backups with Tony Romo breaking his collarbone over the years, and Dak Prescott injuring his foot or whatever that gruesome injury was last year.
Yeah.
I think he's probably the best fit. He's better than Andy Dalton. I think he's better than Ben DiNucci, I think his name was, the third stringer.
That sounds right.
So if he's out for a substantial amount of time, which I don't think he is, I think Cooper Rush is a good fill-in for him. But complete win for the Cowboys. If you have Amari Cooper on your fantasy team and you didn't bench him because you saw Dak wasn't playing, you had a good night. So, I mean, overall, the NFL this week, you had some boring games, you had some low-scoring games, but you also had some close games and some upsets, especially with TB12, Tom Brady over there in Tampa Bay. So that's week 8, already halfway through the season. Sarah, thank you for coming on. It's insane that we're already this far into the season.
Thanks for having me on.
In approximately 3 minutes, we'll have Topher here to talk about this great Game 6 we have so far, so stay tuned.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving, the ultimate party foul.
You've messed up your son's haircut. Do you try to fix it? Work with what you've got? Or show solidarity?
Thank you, babe. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
Había un niño que era muy sensible a luces y sonidos. Construía escondites donde no podían entrar. No le gustaba mirar a la gente a los ojos. Lo hacía sentir incómodo. Un día se descubrió que tenía autismo. Con ayuda, poco a poco, aprendió a vivir mejor con ello.
Mientras más pronto se diagnostique, mejor. Conoce las señales en autismspeaks.org.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job!
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can stop to make sure someone is okay.
We can warn someone when their drink isn't safe.
And disrupt the situation. We can.
Get someone a cab.
Or walk them home safely.
We can make campuses safer for our friends.
Our roommates.
Our classmates. Our fellow human beings.
We cannot be bystanders.
We can. Intervene.
It's on us. All of us.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to Sports Hour. We got our boy Topher here with us, and before we get into anything about the World Series, let's go over real quick about take a quick look at how the old Sabres are doing. Right now, they're 5-2-1. They just came off of a heartbreaking loss in Los Angeles against the Kings, where they had a 2-0 lead, blew it, and lost 3-2 in regulation. Couldn't even get a point, which stinks for the Sabres. But they are second in the Atlantic Division, and their next game is actually tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yeah,
Sabres after dark
one.
against the San Jose Sharks. Do you have any predictions about this game?
They've played them once already this year, right? And they won that game. I believe so. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong on that one. But hopefully, I just want to see them come away with, honestly, just points. Like at the end of the day, the way they're playing right now, if they're gonna lose the games, they just have to come away with points.
Yeah, like if you're gonna lose a game, just lose in overtime. Like
Yeah, for
but
sure.
Even if you're down 4-1, just tie the game at 4 and then lose an OT. Like you gotta get it. If you're the Sabres and you're a Sabres fan, you have to get as many points as you possibly can. Because this has been, believe it or not, a whole decade without playoffs, which is
crazy.
It is crazy, and Sabres fans are hungry for playoffs. And I mean, hungry is definitely an understatement. They're definitely starving for the playoffs. Yeah. And I just want to see, just from a diehard Sabres fan myself, I want to see them back in the playoffs, because I think the last time they went, I was in 4th grade.
I think so, yeah.
When they lost to Philadelphia, when they had a 3-2 series lead.
It's painful.
Lost in overtime that game, then they got blown out in Game 7. But I need Sabres playoffs in my life.
I need playoff hockey back in Buffalo.
Yep.
It'll be just so exciting if it is.
Party in the plaza, we
It'd
need
be
that
wild.
back. Man, I mean, I just want to see, when we had season tickets, I've only been to 2 playoff games in my life. One was in 2007 with Drury and Briere.
Yep.
And that was a game 1, I believe, of the semifinals. And then one was a quarterfinal game 1 against the Bruins. I'm 2-0 at playoff games, so all you have to do is get there, and I can go to every single one, and then we can win. So I think the toughest part is just getting there, though.
Yeah, I agree. Sadly enough, I've never been to a Sabres playoff game, but I've been to a lot of the games in the years where they went to the playoffs. So I've gotten to live and see good Sabres hockey. So to even get a glimpse of it right now is definitely something to looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it is looking like we are having a good start to the season, but it's 8 games into the season, and you're just like, you don't want to jump the gun, because one year we won 10 in a row and finished in like 26 in the league or something like that. But yeah, I'm not jumping the gun on the Sabres just yet.
You just can't. They've given you no reason to have confidence in long-term success. So in the past, recent decade.
Right, and they've been through 1,000 coaches, it feels like. They've been through 1,000 general managers. They've been through an entire era with Jack Eichel, and I don't think he's going to lace up on his skates again with the Sabres. I don't think that's going to happen, and you're just waiting for that opportunity. We went through the years with Darcy Regier when he said suffering. The Sabres are going to suffer for a while, and then this, that.
They feel like the drought Bills.
Yeah.
They feel like the drought Bills of post 2005, that era. That feels like the Sabres now.
But the thing about the drought Bills is you didn't know the season was over until weeks 14 or 15, and they were always making it close. With the Sabres, half the time, and the season's over after the first month of play, and you're just like, then you got to watch them for 60 more games, knowing that they're not going to make the playoffs. But it's rough being a Sabres fan right now, and just knowing that other fan bases just constantly make fun of us, and everyone's giving up their season tickets. Everyone's turning their back on Terry and Kim Pegula, and I think rightfully so for some reasons. But yeah, it's just you need to keep your foot on the gas, win these games, because you have San Jose tonight, and then after that you have Seattle, the new expansion team. Yeah. 2 teams that you really should be able to beat.
For sure.
Even though San Jose's had a good start to the season without Evander Kane, and then the Sabres have had a good start to the season without Jack Eichel. It's kind of weird to see that at one point they were both on the same team, and they were terrible. Just the team overall was terrible. So maybe that's the key. Get rid of one of your best players and rebuild from there.
Make it a more team aspect of it, team success versus the single superstar.
Yeah. But, this Western road trip is going to end after, I think, tomorrow night or Thursday or something like that.
On Friday?
Friday against Detroit, which is also a winnable game, because Detroit's been struggling for 3 years straight, pretty much in the basement of the NHL for 3 consecutive years. So these are 3 games that the Sabres should be able to win. They should have beat LA, but they had a great win in Vancouver, winning that game in overtime. That was good. And usually on these Western road trips, the Sabres don't have a lot of success. So it's good to see them start off the game with a great overtime win with Rasmus Asplin's OT goal from his Swedish buddy Victor Olofsson. And this team, like the secondary scoring, this was their problem from like a couple years ago. When they won 10 in a row, it was just the Jeff Skinner, Jack Eichel show. And now they're getting secondary scoring, so maybe this is the key to them to actually make a run this year.
For sure, I agree completely.
Definitely want to see that. 10:30 starts tonight, so if you're going to stay up and watch that, I mean, that's going to be fun for sure. Now let's get into this garbage.
Garbage for you. Garbage for you. Oh, my Lord.
I cannot wait to see.
They scored again. I didn't even notice
I'm
it.
staying off of social media for a week straight after this one because the Atlanta Braves at Minute Maid Park, they're up 3-2 in this series, just blowing the doors off of the Houston Astros, 5-0.
They scored 2 runs when we were talking about the Sabres. I didn't even realize.
Christian Javier, who was an absolute bum pitcher, threw one right over the middle of the plate to, I don't even remember who it was. It was probably, it was Dansby Swanson.
Yep.
Bottom of the order, working again for the Atlanta Braves, right? So you don't get used to seeing that. It was a great season. Hey, hats off to the Stros. Hats off to the boys. And Dusty Baker, my friend, you will never win a World Series as a manager.
That's
okay?
so tough.
So you have to retire while you're still golden, I guess. But you, my friend, will never win a World Series as a manager. And the Astros would be stupid if they brought you back next year. Yeah. That's my vent. But the Braves are who would have thought this would happen?
They wild card did not it was crazy. They weren't the wild card team, but they were definitely the wild card as soon as they won that series.
Yeah.
It was just they just took it and ran with it. They just used all the momentum of winning the series, and they just even without their star player Ronald Acuna, they just knew what they had to do. It was crazy.
Yep, and the Astros are repeating 2019 again, losing to a team that just got hot at the right moment.
Yeah.
Astros were hot pretty much all season long, just like they were in 2019, and then they're just letting this team come in their building and beat them to win the World Series. It just doesn't end. It just doesn't. I mean, they are the New Orleans Saints of the Major League Baseball. They get so close, and then they lose all the time.
Yes,
so,
that's
I hope Carlos Correa comes back. I hope he wants to come back. Dusty, get out of my face. I mean, you obviously didn't get the boys prepared for this World Series, so you can just you can hightail it out of here. Bring in Joey Espada to coach the team. But as far as this go, I mean, I was waiting for a while to go off on these guys.
Yeah.
To see this happen, and I see on Twitter, it's a loud house. We have to win this game. We have to win this game. And it's 5-0 in the top of the 5th. You're losing in front of Travis Scott. You're probably losing in front of George Bush.
That's really
You're
funny.
probably losing in front of Simone Biles, whoever's at this game right now.
They're all Houston natives. That's crazy.
All these Houston natives at this game, and you're just laying an egg and throwing in Blake Taylor's pitching right now. See, this is the ultimate white flag waved by Dusty Baker. Blake Taylor, instead of Brooks Raley or anybody, is relief pitching right now.
And he's 3 balls deep on Soler.
Yeah, he just walked Soler.
Yeah,
this is the white flag. Great season. I went to a bunch of games this year, whether they were in Buffalo or down in Houston. This was fun. I mean, without George Springer, I did not think the Astros had a shot at going to the ALCS going into this year. When I saw Springer left and I saw Correa was on the last year of his contract, I'm like, there's no way that this team does whatever they did in 2019 or make a push like they did in 2020. And they did. And unfortunately, they're going to lose another World Series at home, which is, a complete joke. But, I'm going to stay off social media because I'm going to see all this America's team crap, and I'm going to be seeing all that stuff. But you know what? Atlanta fans, you finally get a championship back in your city, so you should be happy with that. Especially what the Falcons did to you a few years ago.
Oh my God.
So you should be happy that you're getting this back. You couldn't hold on to 2 hockey teams in your city. Yeah. When the Flames came to town, you couldn't hold on to them, and the Thrashers. They didn't win anything for your city, but Atlanta is finally back, and especially a team that won 87 games in regular season. Yeah. We thought for sure. I mean, if you rewind this show back like a month and a half ago, we said, yeah, there's no way that the Dodgers lose to the Braves and that the Braves go to the World Series.
I don't want to talk about it. I was very wrong.
Our old takes were definitely exposed, and it looks like they're going to, they definitely came prepared for Game 6. The only thing you can say on the Astros side is that they weren't prepared at home.
No, not at all.
And there's absolutely no excuse for that. This definitely falls in the hands of Dusty Baker.
Yeah.
He didn't get him ready. This loss, this World Series loss, all falls on him. But they made an incredible effort in Game 5 to extend it. I mean, down 4-0, giving up yet another grand slam. They found a way to come back and win that game 9-5. And, you know, they just scored another run at least. I just got the alert. It says in play and then parentheses runs. It's 5-0. I think Freeman just hit a knock, so
Did he really?
No, it's 6-0. He scored a double, but
he scored.
Wow, I cannot wait. From an Astros fan myself, Dusty Baker, you better not be the manager anymore next year, or I swear to God, I'm gonna freaking riot. But 6-0. How unprepared can you be for a Game 6? They did the same stuff against the Nationals, losing that game like 6-2. They did the same stuff in Game 7 against the Nationals, where they lost like 8-2, and now they're down like 6-0. I mean, there's just no hope in this game. But you know, it was a great season. But I mean, changes have to be made with your manager position, because it just can't happen.
Yeah, they need starting pitching help. They really do. Like, yes, guys were hurt, but like their rotation, the fact that they lost their top, not their top guy in Verlander, but like arguably one of their top guys in Verlander, and then the second he's gone, it just went downhill. Like,
and they lose McCullers.
Yeah.
And, I mean, injuries aren't the reason why the Astros lost. It's because, you know, Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the best players in baseball, is out as well.
Both teams had bad injuries.
But it's about catching fire at the right time, and that's exactly what the Braves did. So, you know, congrats to them. They definitely have a great team. And I think it's on to, you know, let's see what the Dodgers can do next year if they're in this similar situation, because the Dodgers haven't won a 162-game World Series since 1988. They won one last year, but obviously it was 60 games.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll see how they can attack a team like the Braves next year, because they're definitely good. I mean, this is just the beginning of Atlanta's like doom on the league, because I think everyone was sleeping on them this year. They're like, there's no way this team. I mean, they're winning this division by default. This division's weak. This, that, and the other. I just think that overall they just have enough depth to win this, and you know, who knows about all these expiring contracts that are coming up next year for the Braves, because you know they did sign a lot of rental players, so a lot of them could be going to other teams next year. But this is why you have a deadline, so you can stock up to make a World Series run, and that's exactly what they did. And most likely they will win this in 6, but you have to wonder, you know, from a Houston perspective, since they're probably going to lose this game, you know, who stays and who goes for next year?
Yeah.
Because Yuli, at 37 years old, winning the batting championship in the American League, is a restricted free agent. Carlos Correa is an unrestricted free agent.
He's more than like you want to say he stays, but like he might take some money and run with it. I don't know where he goes. Obviously, like, as a Yankees fan, I want him to come play shortstop.
Oh, man.
But I can understand he might not want to go to the Yankees, but at the same time, the market's just huge. And, like, in baseball, cap space just doesn't actually exist at the end of the day. Like, the Yankees are kind of already the villains of the entire league, just off of an MLB standpoint, and he fills the villain role very well. So, like, just come join the Pinstripes, Correa. It's okay. Just come join Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, just all of them. It's okay.
I think maybe, like, if you give him, like, maybe an 8-year, 9-year deal, but you throw in at least, like, $250 or $300 million.
Oh, he deserves it, too.
He will definitely stay in Houston. Like, he hasn't been playing well in the World Series, but his regular season play was just probably the best that he's ever had in his career. And especially coming off of such a crazy scandal that happened just a couple years prior.
For sure.
Like, that is just great. And he's only getting older, too. Like, we thought he peaked in, like, 18 or 19, but 2021, Carlos Correa stayed fully healthy. This is probably the first time in his career that he's stayed fully healthy throughout the entire one. And he's definitely had a couple rest days here and there as far as games go. But, I mean, he has proven to the Astros higher-up positions that, hey, this is his home. And he said, like, he wouldn't mind spending the rest of his career in Houston. And, you know, he's definitely proved it on the field. But going like 1 for 14 in the World Series isn't very clutch.
Not a good look.
Alex Bregman going like 2 for 17 isn't very clutch. You know, it's just, you're not getting performance from your top guys. And I think that's why they lost the World Series. And just from your manager, too, you just did not have them ready to play. And that falls on you as well. So it's the top of the fifth. At the end of this half inning, the game's going to be halfway over. Houston has 4 more innings to score at least 6 runs to tie the game. I don't like those odds, so I'm just gonna say Atlanta wins the World Series.
What's the winning percentage? I know I can find it.
It's probably like 97%.
96.2.
Yeah,
96.2.
96.2%.
That's wild.
Dusty Baker's got a curse. It's unfortunate. Like he's a nice guy. He's like 73 years old, but
he is one of the oldest. Oh, okay. The Astros did just get out of the inning finally. They just ended the inning.
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations, boys.
Who's winning the MVP? Is it Soler or Albies?
I think it should be Freddie Freeman.
I think it should be Freddie Freeman, but I don't know. Like, has he played the best? Like, I think Freddie Freeman just deserves it off of like him being the core of the team.
Maybe Soler.
I think Soler might deserve it because Soler has been batting like a monster.
Yeah.
Albies has been really good coming out of nowhere. Freddie Freeman is just overall the best player on the team, but I don't know in the World Series itself he's been the best player.
Yeah.
He's been great, obviously.
Oh,
They're winning the World Series right now, but I just don't. It's between those 3 guys for sure. It's Albies, Soler, Freeman. I just don't know which of those 3 gets it.
And if Houston does the unthinkable and forces a Game 7, and they win that Game 7, dude, it's hard to find an MVP, a World Series MVP in here.
Gurriel or Altuve, isn't it? Because it's not, and it's none of the pitching.
I'm not giving it to Bregman. I'm telling you that. I was extremely disappointed in how bad Alex Bregman played during this World Series. I was extremely disappointed in Carlos Correa too. I probably, by default, you probably have to give it to Altuve. If I had to give it to a pitcher, though, I'd give it to relief pitcher Phil Maton.
Yeah, okay. You could give it to him.
He has, his ERA in the regular season was at like a 5.
It was bad.
And now in the World Series, his ERA, or his postseason in general, is like a .82. I'm like, I want playoff Phil Maton 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But I would give it to him. I'm not giving it to...
I think, if he does well in these next 2 games, if he pitches, maybe.
Yeah.
I could see that, actually. Maybe if Altuve or Gurriel has a great end of Game 6 and great Game 7, you could give it to them too.
Kyle Tucker, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. It's just, you're right though. It is hard to look at an Astros player and be like, yes, you were the standout MVP of the World Series.
Because in 17, clear as day, it was Springer.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
That was one of the last, no doubt, World Series MVPs.
And then 2019, if they beat the Nats, it was definitely Alex Bregman.
Yeah.
But then I think Juan Soto won that year.
He was good though. He was great. They had a couple players you could look at and be like, all right, who could it be though? Because you could give it to Scherzer, who was pitching really well for them at that point, or you could give it to Juan Soto, who was batting extremely well. But
no
this
doubt.
year, but it's just it's been a team. The Braves, obviously, you give them the MVP just as a team just because they won the World Series, but they haven't had that standout player. It's been a team effort between those 3 guys we listed earlier.
And that's how you win World Series.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the Yankees dynasty days, that was a team victory, and the Red Sox from the early 2000s, that was a complete team. But we'll have to see how this game turns out. It's not looking good for the Rocket Men, but congratulations to Atlanta. That is a great team. Max Fried right now is playing on a twisted ankle, I'm pretty sure.
I saw that.
But wow, I mean, I think Brantley stepped on his foot or something, but this may be our last baseball segment, I think, at least for a while.
Until close to preseason and spring training.
Wow. Well, which is, if you think about it, it's really not. It's really not that far away if you think about it.
I kind of hate that.
Just
but yeah,
because
you're right.
baseball goes on for so long in a season.
So wild.
But yeah, man. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. You might be seeing me for basketball if we end up doing that too.
Yep.
So I'll just go from one sport to the other, so it's okay.
Hats off to these boys right here. Love them or hate them. Twitter's going to be going insane tonight, but that's pretty much all we have for Sports Hour. We'll definitely see you same time, same place next week, right here at Hendricks Hall. So take care and have a good week.